Christian, unmute. There you
Hey,
are.
how's
How
it
are you,
going?
Christian?
Good, good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
You're good.
What's on? What's your question? What's on your mind? See, I'm
Yeah,
not doing
so
any randos type stuff with faces that should be known to the corner. So
yeah,
Christian is well known, even though people can't say the name of his channel. So just say the name of your channel right now so
sure.
Grim Grizz can get it.
Agapologia.
Agopologia.
Yeah,
Agopologia. There we
yeah,
go. All right. Christian, what's your question?
yeah. So I watched the Destiny Jordan Peterson conversation. I watched your reaction to it, and then I saw Sandy's response to it as well. And I thought, oh no, she's going to have the same question as me, but it ended up being totally different. So it was good because you mentioned liturgy. So my question is. Well, it seemed like your kind of issue or your desire with it was that it would have had a different kind of liturgy about it, like that Jordan, or maybe even Jordan Peterson would have a different sort of liturgy in general with his conversations, right? But I wonder, right?
Well,
Um,
some of his conversations are really good.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's fair. It's like my sermons. There are sermons that are turds, and there are sermons that sing.
right,
Same with conversations. So
right. So what I wondered was because I saw that the video was uploaded, his video, that Jordan Peterson Destiny video, and I thought, there's no way I'm watching that. Like, I won't be able to handle it because I'm like non-confrontational, I'm agreeable, I'm like, this is gonna be a disaster, right? And then I'm like, but I have to watch this. So I start watching it, and then I stop. Then I keep watching. Then I'm like, all right, I'm going to look at the comments, and that will tell me whether I should keep watching. I'm going to get to the question very, very soon. So I was surprised by the comment section. I was like, okay, like, because it was respectful towards Destiny. So I was like, oh, okay. So I continue watching through all of the uncomfortable parts, and I'm surprised by how well Destiny handles the uncomfortable parts, right? And I'm pleased with how Jordan Peterson responds to Destiny's responses, right? So I'm like, okay, this is great. So I came away from it thinking, overall, this was possibly one of Jordan Peterson's most important conversations to date, not because of anything particular that was spoken, but because of how it unfolded, right?
yeah.
Because each of them has a sort of liturgy, even though they have exceptions which are more palatable to me, but to their general audiences, I would assume most of their conversations that are like heated and stuff like that, or conversations, most of their debate things are what the people want to see. So to see a very a conversation characterized by a lot of conflict actually unfold, I would say successfully, overall, right? I would say it unfolded.
Nobody walked out.
Nobody exactly. Yeah, I was thinking of what's his name
Peter Hitchens.
yeah, exactly. So okay, so my question. Should, while I agree with you about my personal preference would be for his liturgy in this particular conversation to have been different, I think it was actually exactly what it needed to be, because it's like animals testing each other brutally at first, right? And then coming away with greater respect for one another. Now my desire is, I want to see that conversation that you're talking about, right? Now that they've tested the waters, they've tested each other, right? Like almost like dogs, right? But but they've come away respecting each other.
Yeah.
Given that, like, that's my perspective.
Yeah.
Do you think that, well, what do you think should be the liturgy of a Jordan Peterson conversation with someone like Destiny, or I say, God forbid, semi-jokingly, Vouch in the future or something like that, right?
Oh, so number one, I was super glad he did it.
Yeah.
because it's been a long time since Jordan has sort of been sharing a platform with critics, and that he shared it with a streamer critic. And I take Jordan Peterson at his word when he says he has invited many people on the left to come on his show and they won't. I completely believe that. And so it is to Destiny's credit that he went. Now there's of course a status differential, and so it was also in Destiny's best interest. I mean, it's the same reason why Gavin Ortland hasn't taken up Sam Tiedemann's challenge, or some of the same reasons. And it's some of the same reasons why I'm not expecting an email from Bishop Barron, because I didn't necessarily say the most approving things about him in my recent video. But there's going to be in other videos when I say very approving things about Bishop Barron, because actually in a normal relationship, you say some things that are really flattering, and you say some things that are critical. And that's why when I turned on my video and I saw, because I knew when I was inviting someone into the Virtually Not Alone network, Grim Grizz, in terms of the status hierarchy of the virtual. Now, every time I mention Grim Grizz, I'm going to have to put this thing out. In the Virtually Not Alone network, Grim Grizz has higher status than I have, because it's his baby, and I'm just coming in. So there's a sign of health when you can actually give positive and negative, and it's okay. That's how real relationships work, and that's how they're supposed to work. So yes, it was a sign of health that Destiny was on there. Now, Peterson, the difficulty that Jordan has is he has reached some amazing heights in the past, like with the Kathy Newman interview. You could argue about the Helen Lewis interview, because it's not necessarily bad to have a contentious interview. But, and so I think your point is right. So, and it was, I think, ironic, the fact that I had just had that rather contentious conversation with Brandon Dempsey. But he early on in the conversation said, I just want to be really careful. And that's what you do early on. It's like, let's keep checking with each other to make sure that this is play. Because I want to have my sister on for a Randos conversation, and that could turn out into an all-out brawl. But I know it's okay,
right?
Because my sister and we can really go at it.
Right.
And she's going to tell me about the home you grew up in, blah, 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 blah. That never happened. What do you mean that didn't happen? And then off we go. I mean, that could happen.
Yeah.
But so I think everything that you said, I agree with. And I would have liked to have seen, and again, this is the point of my video, was not just sort of a low resolution, don't like the talk. In fact, again, the membership section of the talk, I've only listened to half of it, but that sounded much more like the kind of talk I was looking for. But that, of course, was 2 hours into the conversation. And in many cases, you have to sort of achieve that. And part of the reason I do what I do, and part of the reason like Elizabeth Oldfield does what they do, if you begin with the personal instead of the monarchical, because if you're beginning with the monarchical, all you do is fight over who has the right facts. But if you begin with the personal, well, let's start talking about your life. And so if Brandon Dempsey talks about the fact that he grew up in a more of a fundamentalist household, and then he went and, sort of a Bart Ehrman story, then he went to seminary, and a lot of these ideas were challenged, and he basically accepted the framework that he got in a modernist theological education. Well, okay, so let's approach it this way, and then I can share, because I also have a modernist theological education. So I think, and I want to resist sort of the low resolution YouTube approach, which says good or bad.
Right.
Come on, people. There is some good, and like or don't like's a little bit better. But
Right.
there's a lot I like. Almost every conversation or video that I see, there's some things I like, there's some things I don't like. But now when I have to talk, I have to bring that in and put a point to it. So then people might say, Paul didn't like the talk with Destiny. Well, why? And that's where, just like I did with Sandy, you turn it around and say, okay, well, what in you, Paul? What's your agenda with this? My agenda is to see the evolution of this space. And, well, what are you doing to change that? Well, look at the TLC and my participation and involvement in it. This is my attempt to change YouTube. And you might say, how can a channel of 29,000 subs change YouTube? Probably very slowly. So that's where I'm at. So
Yeah.
How's that, Christian? Any last minute rebuttals? Otherwise, I gotta,
Oh, just really quick. If you also go check out the comments on Destiny's upload of the video, because he did a 35-minute upload on his channel, and the comments on there are actually like respectful of Jordan Peterson as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'd also be curious to see what 35 minutes he chose.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
And that's just it, because of course the hot stuff gets the clicks by virtue of our, we look for action because it's dangerous. Yeah. And so we got the screen between us, so it feels
it was a good model of like, not every time you have a heated conversation with somebody, you're going to be able to do the tell me about the house you grew up in, right? Like if you get into a heated discussion, even at like a family get together, right, it could blow up quickly. And I think the dynamic between Jordan Peterson and Destiny was actually a good model for how to handle that kind of situation.
Yeah. So
but thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you, Christian.